Okay, so get this. We've got a Kentucky sheriff, right? Sworn to uphold the law, ends up shooting a judge.
And not just any judge.
Yeah, a judge he's known for decades.
Decades.
And it all goes down right there in the courthouse.
Inside the courthouse. Wild.
Absolutely wild. So what drove him to do it? That's what we're diving into today, unpacking this whole crazy case.
Especially with the new evidence that just came out.
Right, we've got the initial reports. We've even got that surveillance footage.
Oh, yeah, from inside the courthouse.
From inside the courthouse, the whole 9 yards.
Man, this is a real head-scratcher. You know, this isn't just your average, everyday violence. This happened in the very halls of justice.
Exactly. You've got the sheriff, Shawn Stines, and the district judge, Kevin Mullins. Their history goes way back.
Way, way back.
And then, bam, September 19th.
September 19th.
Happens right in Judge Mullins' chambers.
Just like that.
So let's set the scene a little bit. It's a Tuesday, Letcher County Courthouse, Whitesburg, Kentucky.
Not exactly a hotbed of crime, usually.
No, not at all. But then this footage surfaces, and it's chilling, to say the least.
Chilling might not even cover it. You see, Stines, clear as day, he draws his gun on Mullins.
And what's Mullins doing?
Mullins, he tries to reason with him, hands are up, trying to defend himself.
But it's no use.
No use at all. Stines just starts shooting.
8 shots.
8 shots.
I mean, Mullins tries to take cover, tries to get under his desk, but Stines doesn't even hesitate.
Nope. Shoots him twice more at point-blank range.
Brutal.
Absolutely brutal.
And here's where it gets even more complex, these guys.
Yeah.
Decades-long friends.
Decades.
Even had lunch together just hours before the shooting.
Yeah. Hours. So what on earth could have happened in that time to make Stines snap like that?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And here's where things get even more interesting. Right before the shooting, Stines makes a few calls.
Okay.
But he doesn't just use his own phone.
Oh.
He uses Mullins' phone, too, to call his daughter.
Hold on. His daughter? What's the connection there?
That's what's so strange.
It makes no sense.
And it gets weirder. Investigators found Stines' daughter's number saved in Judge Mullins' phone.
Whoa.
This isn't just some, professional connection anymore. There's something else going on here.
So let's get this straight. We've got this potential family link, right?
Right.
We've got this argument that turns deadly, and then you've got those phone calls.
Phone calls are key. I mean, what are we supposed to make of all of this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it premeditated?
Was it
From of passion?
possibly?
Or was there something else going on, something darker?
Well, right after the shooting, Stines surrenders.
Right.
But the thing is, the words he says to the police,
Sure.
they're interesting. He says, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
So is that a deflection tactic?
Right. Is it a desperate attempt to deflect, or was there actually something more to this kidnap claim?
Yeah.
We know from the evidence it doesn't seem to be true, but using Mullins' phone to call his daughter,
Right.
that's pretty strange.
It's very calculated.
It is, almost like he wanted to create confusion.
Yeah.
Maybe even make investigators question, like, who did what when.
Exactly.
Cast doubt. Now, keep in mind, he pleads not guilty to first-degree murder.
Right, right.
But there's a lot of pressure. The governor even called for his resignation publicly.
Wow.
So Stines steps down from sheriff, and right now he's just waiting for that indictment from a grand jury.
Okay, and for those of us, I don't know about you, but legal terms, not really my forte.
Right.
So break it down. Indictment, grand jury. What does it all mean?
Yeah, so basically a grand jury is like a preliminary hearing, They're going to look at all the evidence, and they'll decide if there's even enough to go to an actual trial.
Got it.
So it's a big deal.
Okay. So big step. Where does this alleged sex scandal, where does that fit in?
That's the real curveball, right? We've got all these details. But the sex scandal, it's still just a rumor. Yeah.
At this point, just whispers. But the authorities are looking into it.
Right.
And that tells us something. Could be some truth there.
Yeah.
Because think about it.
Yeah.
If a scandal like that were true,
Yeah.
that's motive.
Yeah.
That's pressure. Careers destroyed, families torn apart.
Especially in that kind of environment, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small town.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. We don't want to jump to conclusions.
Of course.
We need more information.
Right.
But if this scandal is real and it does involve Stines, Mullins, and potentially even Stines' daughter.
Right.
Well,
It changes everything.
it really does. A lot of possibilities.
It's like something out of a movie.
It really is.
You've got the small town secrets, the tangled relationships.
And then, to top it all off, a murder.
right in the middle of it all.
That just has everyone wondering, like, what actually happened in that courthouse?
The truth is out there somewhere.
It's crazy how every new detail just adds another layer to this whole thing.
Oh.
This case, man, it really shows you why we do these deep dives.
I know, right?
Because it'd be so easy to just see the headline, "Sheriff shoots judge," and just keep scrolling, you know?
Totally.
But when you really get into it, like we're doing,
yeah, you start to see...
there's always so much more beneath the surface.
Always. And what gets me is how these little things, like the daughter's number in the judge's phone...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Suddenly it's not so little anymore, is it?
Nope.
It's like a breadcrumb trail.
Right.
Leading us to something bigger.
Exactly. And you mentioned those phone calls earlier. Have we learned anything about what was actually said in those?
Unfortunately not. That's still under wraps.
Okay.
But I guarantee the investigators are all over those calls, you know, and any messages from Judge Mullins.
Yeah.
Looking for any threats, signs of a struggle, really anything that tells us what happened right before the shooting.
And so it's like this puzzle, and we've got some pieces.
Right.
But we're still missing a bunch to really see the full picture.
Exactly. And in this case, those missing pieces, they might be the key to the biggest question of all, you know?
The kids.
Why? Why would Sheriff Stines, a guy who swore an oath, turn on someone he'd known for years?
Right, right.
Was he just pushed too far? Did they have some kind of blow up? Or was this, like we were saying, something way more calculated, way more messed up?
Yeah, I mean, those are the questions that must keep the investigators up at night.
For sure. And honestly, they're the questions that keep us coming back to these stories.
Absolutely, because this isn't just a case in a file somewhere. This is about real people, you know?
Real lives.
Families that are devastated, a whole community that's shaken up, and at the heart of it all, this huge betrayal.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, about trust, about how well you can really know someone. So what's next? What happens with the case itself?
Well, it all hinges on the grand jury now. They'll decide if there's enough to actually charge Stines with murder.
Okay.
And if it goes to trial, that's when it could get really interesting.
How so?
Well, the prosecution, they have to prove intent, which is tough, especially when the why is still so unclear.
Yeah.
Defense, on the other hand, they're probably going to focus on that lack of a clear motive, the history between the two men. Maybe even try for some kind of, you know, temporary insanity plea.
It's hard to say how it'll go.
Way too early to tell. And that's important, right? We're still in the early stages. We still haven't heard everything.
Yeah, good point.
Witness testimonies, forensic evidence, those phone records, all that's still to come.
Right, right.
And any one of those things could change everything we think we know about that day in the courthouse.
So for anyone listening, what do you think is the big takeaway here?
I think this case, it reminds us that things are rarely as simple as they appear on the surface.
Yeah, never judge a book by its cover.
Exactly, exactly. There's always more to the story, more layers, more perspectives. More questions, always. So stay curious, my friend. Keep asking those questions.
Don't take anything for granted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know what you might uncover.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. As always, thanks for listening. Keep those questions coming, and we'll catch you on the next one.